Hi guys, this is Pete here. So today I want to discuss and give you guys an update on what's happening in the Singapore property market. And I'm going to share a relatively unpopular view, and that is I think prices are going to continue to head upwards from here. Let's dive straight into it. So the latest flash estimates of the private residential property price index just came out for Q3 2025. And over here, we can see a very interesting trend, right? And that is CCR continues to do well over here, right? So in the last quarter, CCR went up by 3% quarter on quarter. And this time round, it went up by 2.4%. RCR reversed the negative. So it went up by 0.4, so relatively flat, whereas OCR went up by 1%. So overall, all residential went up by 1.2% this quarter. So really, this is a very, very strong reflection of the market. Why? Because you must remember this third quarter actually includes some of the quieter months, right, of the year because of the Hungry Ghost Festival. And we are still able to see such an increase in prices. And with that, you can see that right now, CCR is actually closing up the gap over here, right? So previously, you can see RCR, OCR really pulling away since COVID in terms of the rate of increase. And CCR has been lagging behind, but right now it is coming up. And we also have the flash estimates for third quarter 2025 for resale price index. So this is pertaining to HDB prices. So for HDB prices, on the contrary, it is quite different. Whereas private is going up, HDB, we only saw a 0.4% increase in this quarter. This is very different from what we see last year. For example, last year on the third quarter, the increase was actually 2.7%. But really, even if HDB prices now cooling down a bit, I think it is good time because HDB prices actually has been going up quite a fair bit, and private property right now is kind of playing catch up. But overall, I think prices going forward, it is likely going to continue to increase because we just have also the latest Singapore population brief or report, they call it, right? So over here, you can see the Singapore total population right now stands at 6.11 million, okay? And out of that 6.11 million, 3.66 million is Singapore citizen, PR is 0.54 million, and the rest are made up by non-residents. So the population has continued to increase. And if you look at the past trend, population actually has been increased ever since COVID, right? Where it dipped down a little bit to 5.45 million. And now we are at 6.11 million compared to last year where it was 6.04 million. Now, of course, growing population does not mean prices is definitely going to increase, right? You can look at countries like China and even India where the population continues to grow, but it doesn't mean prices are going up. So what has to support the prices is actually the income over here. So I got all these statistics from the SingStat website. I will put a link down below for those of you who want to go to the website. It is a treasure trove of national data that you can actually find out for yourself and decide for yourself, right? Where do you think prices are going to go, right? So over here, I'm just going to share with you what I observed and my own personal analysis, why I think prices are going to continue from here. So number one, if you look at the average monthly household employment income over here, and this includes CPF. Why do I include CPF? Is because many people use their CPF to pay for their house mortgage, right? So if you can see in the top 10 decile, right? So these are the top 10% of the Singapore population. The monthly household income average is about $34,000, right? The ninth decile, which is the next 10%, is about 24,000, and then the 8th decile, which is the next 10% below, is close to 20,000. And you can see across the board, the top 30% in terms of household income has continued to increase. In fact, the top 10% is pulling away a little bit. And if we break down by the dwelling, that means the places that they stay, and this is even more stark, right? So you can see across the board, as the place get larger and larger, the income generally increases over the years. And you can see for condominiums and apartments especially, the increase is really quite fast, right? So in 2020, we are at about 20,000 plus minus per household income. And right now, just last year in 2024, it has increased to 23,000. While the increase here may be a bit sharper for the condo and other apartments and also for landed property, you can see across different housing sizes, the average income has been increasing. And one thing in particular why I think condo prices might be picking up is because if you look at the type of dwellings that people are staying in, right? So if you look at in terms of HDB, for example, the household in 5-room HDBs and the household in 4-room HDB actually has been decreasing over the years, right? There's only a few groups that is actually increasing, and the one that's increasing the most, right, if you look at it, is actually the green line, which is also once again condominiums, right? So you can see the green line really is like the oddball of them all. Now, what does this suggest? This probably suggests that more people are selling away the 4-room HDB, 5-room HDB, and moving towards the condominiums. So this does show that there's an overall trend of more people moving from HDB flats, right, which is decreasing, over to condominiums. Alright, another reason why I'm positive about property prices in the future is because when you look at the nominal change of average monthly household employment income, including CPF once again, right, the top decile since 2019 to 2024, right, has gone up by 10.2%, which is not too bad, but it's okay. That translates to maybe around 2% per year. However, if you look at the next 30%, right, the 9 decile, 8 decile, 7 decile, right, they actually increase at a much faster rate, right, between 18.6% to 20.5%. So this does shows that actually it's not just the highest earner that's earning more, but the next 30% of the group is actually having higher income as well. And I think that also partly explains why many of the 4-bed HDB and 5-bedroom HDBs are converting into condominium as their income increase. And when their income increases, it also means that the loan that they can undertake is going to be much larger because the total amount of loan is determined by how much income you have. So when I look at all these trends, rising population, rising income, right, it's very hard to put out and say, hey, this is the highest where the property will go. So long the income continue to increase, so long there are more and more people squeezing on this little island that we call Singapore, I think it is very likely that property prices will continue to increase from here. But how much more? Will it be like COVID, another 5-7%? I'm just going to give a prediction here is that it will probably go up just about as fast as the income is increasing, which is around 3 to 4% right now if you look at the statistics. So what do you guys think? Do you find this information useful? I want to keep this video short and sharp to give you guys really what are the numbers that I see when I talk to my clients on a one-on-one to share with them my property research, right? So I hope that this will really benefit all of you out there who are making choices in your property investment, because I always believe if you understand the numbers, you can make a more informed choice. Alright, so if you like the video over here, do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye bye.